how you can use recursion in real life. So the first example is, say you plan to borrow $22,000 from a bank to buy a new car. You're going to make a payment every month to repay the loan, which must be paid off in 5 years. And usually they do it by monthly payments, so 60 months. The bank charges an annual interest rate of 7.9%, and that interest is compounded monthly or calculated monthly. Part of each monthly payment is applied to the interest, and the rest is applied to reduce the starting balance or the principal. All right, so first question, what is the monthly interest rate? So the annual or yearly rate is 7.9%. We want the monthly rate. Okay, so the first step is change your 7.9, change your percent to a decimal. So let's wait for this to load. So step 1, change your percent to a decimal. So here, 7.9%, if you were to divide that by 100, it's the same as 0.079. Second step is we're looking at how the interest is compounded. It's compounded monthly. So you think of how many months there are in a year. There's 12. So we're going to take our 0.079 and we're going to divide that by 12. And that will be the monthly rate. So if we divide that, it's 0.006583, repeating. Okay. The first question, or second question, B, what is the first month's interest on $22,000? Okay, so for this one, again, a 1 month interest rate is that 0.079. divided by 12. Okay, so there's the monthly rate. And we want that percent of 22,000. Of means multiply. So we're going to take this, we're going to multiply it by 22,000, and that's going to give us just the interest that you're paying, which is $144.83. Okay, so there's the interest. Step C, if you make a payment of $300 at the end of the month, what's the remaining balance that you owe the bank? Okay, so let's set up a recursive equation for this one. Let's say that our starting value is U sub n. And to calculate, to make a recursive equation or formula or rule for this, we're going to take our balance, which is U sub n minus 1 is our balance. That's left over from the previous month. Okay, and to that, we are going to add our interest on the balance. So here's our balance. We're going to multiply with that by the interest. Okay, so this is the interest on the balance. Okay, so again, this is the balance, the amount you owe the bank the month before, plus the interest on the balance in the month before. And we're going to subtract from that $300 because we're going to make a payment. Okay, so let's type that in our calculator and see what we come up with. Okay, so again, remember, let's say the starting value is 1. U sub 1 is what, 22,000? Okay, so we're going to plug that in here and figure out what that is. There's actually an easier way to write this equation right here. Notice how they both have, I'm going to erase this. They both have a U sub n minus 1 in these two terms. You can factor that out, so I'm going to rewrite this equation. If I divide each of these terms by U sub n minus 1, U sub n minus 1 divided by itself is a 1, plus we have this another 1 here, and then 0.079 divided by 12, and that minus 300. Okay, so this is the equation we're going to use to find the balances for the first 6 months of the with monthly payments of $300. Okay, so let's type this in the calculator. Remember the first value, how much we owe is the 22,000. Okay, so here's what it looks like in your calculator. Kind of clear this. Okay, so we're going to start with 22,000. Oh, that's 2,200. 22,000. Okay, anytime you see u sub n minus 1, that's like using the answer key. So I'm going to hit second negative. There's u sub n minus 1. Then in parentheses, I'm going to put this, so parentheses, 1 plus, since I have a fraction, I'm going to use another set of parentheses. So 0.079 divided by 12. Close that off twice. Okay, so here's what I've been pressing. And all of that, we're going to subtract from that 300. Okay, so after the first month, here's how much money you owe the bank. $21,844. Now to fill in the table, I'm just going to press that 5 more times. So here's after 1 month, 2 months, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So those are the values. So after 6 months, you still owe $21,053. So you're slowly paying it off, but remember, the bank is charging you interest, and so you're very slowly paying it off. Okay, so then the next question is, how many months will it take you to pay off this loan? So in your calculator, we've already done 6 months. You keep hitting enter until you get down to a balance of 0 or below 0. So I've done that before. I'm not going to do it now. It ends up being 101 months. Okay, so if you're paying only $300 a month, it's going to take you 101 months to pay it off. And remember, this loan is for 60 months. So a $300 payment is way too low. Okay, so your assignment for tomorrow is experiment with other values for monthly payments. What monthly payments allow you to pay off the loan in exactly 60 months? So $300 was too low. Okay, so we need to figure out a different amount. Break up the work. Each team member can try a different amount. We can do an example using a guess and check table. So here's what your example might look like. Your amount, put that here. So we know 300 was too low. So this is too high or low. So 300 was too low. Let's try a bigger amount. Let's do 500. All right, so to calculate that, remember in your calculator you have this. What changes is what you're subtracting here. So this is the value you're going to keep plugging in and trying. So let's try 500. You're going to type this in your calculator. Remember, u sub n minus 1 is using your last answer key. Remember, start with 22,000. And then you're going to keep hitting enter and see if it turns out to be 60 months. If you're too high or too low, keep trying. Okay. So this is 1.5 day 1. Here's your assignment for tomorrow. Can you figure out what monthly payment will pay off the car in 60 months? And again, you're looking for this number right here. What works when you plug it into your calculator and hit enter 60 times, which one gives you as close to 0 as possible? Okay. 1.5 day 2. So this uses our answer from the previous problem. So I actually calculated it. How much do you actually pay for? Okay, so our answer from before, what monthly payment will give us pay off the car in 60 months, was a payment of, it ended up being around $445.03. So we're going to use that for this question. How much do you actually pay for the car using this monthly payment? Okay, so we're actually paying more than $22,000 because of all the interest. All right, so here's the hint. Figure out the amount you pay for the first 59 payments. So that would be 59 times 445.03. Let's calculate that. See what that equals. And that is, let's see, in our calculator. Okay, this is what, 26,256.77. Okay, and then for the last month, if you type this in your calculator, after 60 months, you've actually overpaid. There's a little bit of leftover money. The leftover is $444.92. Our last payment will be this amount. Okay, so we're going to add that to this right here. because again, after 59 months at this amount, we've paid this much. But in your calculator, if you keep hitting enter, you've actually, the last payment, you've actually overpaid. This is the amount you owe for the last payment. So total, you've paid for this car $26,701.69, when really the car was originally only $22,000. So you paid $4,701 over what you owe if you have an interest rate. All right, so the recursive rule for loans and investments is this: U sub n equals U sub n minus 1 times your rate plus your payment or investment. So this is payment or investment. And this is your rate as a decimal. Okay, so let's use this. Let's practice setting up equations. Let's say Jonah has an employer. He offers an investment plan that invests a portion of each paycheck before taxes are deducted. Jonah gets a paycheck every week. The plan has an annual interest rate of 4.75% compounded weekly, and he contributes $10 a week. Write the formula. Okay, so this one right here, our formula is, we're going to have U sub n minus 1, the amount from the week before, and then we have the 0.00, oh, that's not right, 0.0475%. There's 52 weeks in a year, and it's going to be 1 plus that because we're making money, plus the 10. So here's your equation for Jonah. Okay, and our first value starts with 10. Oh, it looks like we don't have our value. Well, let's say he contributes $10 a week, and let's say he starts with $10. So there we go. Let's try the next one. Write a recursive rule for a loan of $30,000. So $30,000. The rate is 7% compounded monthly. So here's what that looks like. Again, it's an interest rate. How many months will it take to pay it off? So this will be, let's see, 1 minus, this will be 1 plus. 7% is 0.07. It's compounded monthly. There it is, minus 700. All right, type this in your calculator and see how many months it takes to pay it off.